Hello and welcome to Elecspo, and today we're swapping some Premier League players around. Basically, your best player's leaving. It's as simple as that. Sorry, I know you've got posters of him on your wall, his name on the back of your shirt, but the dream's over, he's off. I've picked out every Premier League club's best player in my opinion, and they're going to the team that finished in the opposite place to them last season. So for example, Liverpool won the title while Fulham came up via the playoffs. So Fulham get Liverpool's best player, while Liverpool get Fulham's. Then City get West Brom's, West Brom get City's, and so on and so forth. You get the picture. So let's run through them now and see who is going where. Liverpool have got the centre back they need in Joachim Andersen. Fulham have acquired the Egyptian king Mo Salah. Man City have got another Brazilian in Matheus Pereira, while Big Sam has got the chief creator in Kevin De Bruyne. Raphinha is going from Leeds to Man United, while Bruno Fernandez is going the other way to link up with Marcelo Bielsa. Chelsea are the lucky devils who've got Jack Grealish, but in his place Villa have got Mason Mount. Leicester's new midfielder is Declan Rice, but they've lost their main striker in Jamie Vardy to West Ham. Tottenham have got Leandro Trossard from Brighton, where it's not really clear who the best player is, but the Seagulls have really looked in as they've finally got a good goal scorer in Harry Kane. Wolves will be welcoming Wilfried Zaha to Malnu as Ruben Neves heads the other way. Alan Saint-Maximin is swapping St James's Park for the Emirates. Now we've got Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang heading to Newcastle just like he was rumoured to back in the day. Sheffield United are also rolling back the years with Dominic Calvert-Lewin returning, and in his place Everton have got Sander Berge. And our final pairing sees Danny Ings return to Burnley, while Southampton get England goalkeeper Nick Pope in between the sticks. So those are the 20 players swapping clubs. Now let's see what difference it makes to the Premier League table. Will the smaller clubs thrive now they've got a truly top class player? And will the big boys be able to do anything with the new player other than let them dish out the bibs at training? Well, let's find out. Right, here we are at the start of the simulation, the 27th of July 2020, and every Premier League club has got themselves a new player, and they've also suffered a bit of a big departure. To be honest, I don't think the top of the table will change that much. Considering the squad that Man City and Liverpool have got, I don't think losing De Bruyne and Mo Salah will matter that much. I mean, it'll matter a little bit, but I mean, they can easily just buy a replacement. It's down the bottom where I think the big difference will occur. West Brom getting Kevin De Bruyne, that could steer them towards survival. Leeds getting Bruno Fernandez. I mean, they always do fairly well on Football Manager, but they could do even better. And Fulham getting Mo Salah, that's certainly going to be a boost to them. But who will suffer the most having lost their best player? Who will thrive? Who will do poorly? Let's simulate a year into the future and let's see what the Premier League table looks like. Right, here we are a year into the future, the 31st of May 2021, and to the surprise of no one, Manchester City have won the Premier League title. No Kevin De Bruyne, no problem. It hasn't mattered that they've lost the Belgian, they have still won the title. They've got 84 points, coming ahead of Liverpool and Chelsea, who both got 80. Elsewhere in the league though, the teams going down, Southampton, Crystal Palace and Burnley. I'm going to be honest, I think that's a little bit of a surprise because West Brom are normally a shoo-in to go down. Crystal Palace do normally struggle. Sheffield United, they have survived. Burnley didn't even come close to survival. The goals of Chris Wood did not flow this time. They lost Nick Pope. I mean, some would say that Chris Wood's the best player in terms of Football Manager, but I sent Nick Pope to Southampton and he's going down as well as Southampton have been relegated. That is quite a surprise. Newcastle with Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, I mean that was a pretty big get for Newcastle. And they were, to be honest, finished lower down than they would normally do. 17th place, just 2 clear of the relegation zone. Let's have a look elsewhere in the Premier League table. Man United, I mean some will call them a one-man team with Bruno Fernandez. They've lost him, got Raphinha in, and that has led to dropping out of the top 4. They only got 67 points to come 5th. Tottenham without Harry Kane came 6th. I mean, that's probably as well as they'll do in reality. And Carlos Vinicius has absolutely thrived. 18 goals to win the Golden Boot in place of Harry Kane. West Ham have finished 7th, just missing out on European football on goal difference. But they did finish above Leicester, who they swap players with. But Leicester winning a cup are going into the Europa Conference League. They won the Carabao Cup, beating West Ham in the final. I was going to say Declan Rice got the goal, but that was from another game. So Leicester beating West Ham in the final to get themselves a European place. It didn't keep Brendan Rodgers' job though, he's been sacked. What I'm going to do now though is run through every Premier League club and pick out their new player and see how well they have done. As we've known, Man City won the title without De Bruyne, and Man United have struggled without Bruno Fernandez. Leeds have thrived with Bruno Fernandez. Newcastle and Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang hasn't mattered. Aston Villa with Mason Mount. they've done alright as well, they've survived. Fulham and Mo Salah nowhere near the relegation zone. West Brom have survived. But going down, Southampton, Crystal Palace and Burnley. The likes of Nick Pope, Ruben Neves and Danny Ings unable to keep their new clubs in the Premier League. But let's go through each team, starting from the top with Manchester City. As we know, Manchester City got Matheus Pereira from West Brom and they sent him out on loan. So they didn't even care about him. They sent him on loan to Aston Villa, a rival of West Brom, where to his credit, he's done pretty damn well. 14 appearances, 4 goals, 2 assists, an average rating of 7.04, and not a single appearance in a Manchester City shirt. So things didn't really get off to a hot start. But I mean, considering the squad at Man City, I wasn't really expecting Matheus Pereira to get a game ahead of Riyad Mahrez or Bernardo Silva. Let's check Liverpool out. In reality, obviously, they've had so many injury problems that they could have done with a player like Jakob Anderson. But he is on the transfer list. A fee of £11 million is all they want, and he has made just 1 Premier League appearance. It was an alright one, an average of 6.8. It's not really an average if you only played 1 game. He also played in the Cup where he played well, but just hasn't been needed. Obviously, there's been no injury to Virgil van Dijk. He's played the entire season, so there's been no room for Jakob Anderson. We go on to Chelsea. Chelsea got Jack Grealish. They were probably the biggest winners out of the big teams. And Jack Grealish, where is he? How's he done? Very well indeed. 9 goals, 5 assists, 30 starts, 3 off the bench, playing centre midfield in amongst this star-studded Chelsea team. And he is going to be playing Champions League football again. I was going to say for the first time, but obviously he's played it this season with Chelsea. We move on to the final team who got in the top 4, and that is Arsenal, which is quite a surprise considering, I mean, they lost Aubameyang, which was a big deal. And they've got Alan St-Maximin, who I guess hasn't really played much. Let's go down. He's been a substitute. And he's on the transfer list for £16.25 million. Not a lot of money for Alan St-Maximin. Is he good enough for Arsenal? I mean, he's very, very talented. But Arsenal have already got some quality in the attacking areas. He got 2 goals, 1 assist. And he made 5 Premier League starts. So that's kind of been disappointing for him. We go on to Manchester United, who obviously lost Bruno Fernandez. In his place arrived Raphinha. And Raphinha has, in fairness to Raphinha, he's been bloody brilliant. No one has contributed more goals than him in all competitions. 13 goals, 13 assists. In total, 26 goal contributions from the right wing. It's an area where Man United did try and improve last summer when they wanted to sign Jadon Sancho. They've got Raphinha in, and to his credit, he has been bloody excellent. Tottenham, they replaced their manager Manuel Pellegrini, has came in for Jose Mourinho. I'm going to guess Leandro Trossard hasn't played at, well, 2 starts. I was going to say it's more than Gareth Bale, but Gareth Bale has actually played a fair bit of football this season. Leandro Trossard on the transfer list. £21 million, deemed surplus to requirements. He got himself a couple of goals in all competitions, but not really impressing. To be honest, there was a myriad of players I could have picked for Tottenham. I could have picked Ben White, Lewis Dunk. I wasn't really sure. I went with Trossard. In hindsight, maybe I've got it wrong. But Tottenham, I mean, they've missed Harry Kane to a certain extent, but in terms of goals, Carlos Vinicius has been brilliant. Son Heung-min now the main man. And they have come 6th. Would they do better with Kane? I'm not so sure. On to West Ham, the beaten League Cup finalists who had Jamie Vardy leading the line, and he has been the best player in their entire team. 11 goals, an average rating of 7.27. While he has been the best player, that's not really too impressive. He only played 24 times in the Premier League and he didn't even manage to get into double figures. 5 of his goals came in the cup competitions, 11 in total. And for all he was their best player, it seems more that West Ham have just been consistent throughout the team rather than having a star man. We'll go on to Leeds. Bruno Fernandez, surely he's at the top. Yes, of course he is. Bruno Fernandez out in front as the best player at Leeds, just ahead of Calvin Phillips actually. But in the middle of the park, 8 goals, 14 assists, pretty much played every week. Unsurprisingly, he has guided Leeds into a top half finish in their first season back in the Premier League. Let's look at Leicester City. They're searching for a new manager. They'll not be needing a new midfielder though, as Declan Rice has been bloody brilliant alongside Wilfred Ndidi. I mean, if you want 2 men sitting in front of the defence, that is pretty damn perfect. Declan Rice, 6 goals, 5 assists, the second best player in the Leicester team, just behind Wilfred Ndidi, who could be on his way out. So Declan Rice could be getting a promotion. He could really be the main man in midfield. Good season from Declan Rice. We move on to the team that came 10th, which was Wolves. They got Wilfried Zaha. Wilfried Zaha, how has he done? Not too well. An average rating of lower than a 7. Playing on the left wing for Wolves. 6 goals, 3 assists, 28 starts. Just alright, nothing too special though. Not quite a talisman like he was at Crystal Palace. We'll go on to Everton. They kind of dipped out really. They lost their goal scorer and they got Sander Berge in a position that they've got some decent options. Sander Berge has done well though, one of their better players. The 4th best player, an average rating of 7.16, played fairly frequently in the middle of the park, 5 assists. A good season, probably better than he's ever done for Sheffield United. But the less said about that, the better. We move on to Fulham. Fulham are one of the big winners. They've survived with Mo Salah in their ranks, and unsurprisingly, he is out in front as their best player, absolute miles ahead of everyone else. He got an average rating of 7.73. The next best player was Alexander Mitrovic, whose average was 7.09. To be fair though, Salah did only get 11 goals in all competitions. Maybe he's getting less chances in a poorer team, but he's been playing bloody brilliantly. 7 goals, 4 assists and 6 Man of the Match awards for the Egyptian King, who has guided Fulham to Premier League survival. On we go to Aston Villa. Obviously they lost their skipper, their talisman Jack Grealish, but they have got Mason Mount in his place. But Ollie Watkins has actually been the main man. 15 goals, Morgan Sanson's been brilliant as well, but Mason Mount, another excellent season, only just behind Ollie Watkins for the best player. He's a wanted man already, wanted by Manchester City and Paris Saint-Germain, which tells you all you need to know about Mason Mount, an absolute top quality midfielder. Forget all this talk about him being a teacher's pet for Frank Lampard and Gareth Southgate. Mason Mount is the real deal. What a player he is, and is going to be, because he's still very, very young. On we go to Brighton. Harry Kane was the best player in the entire division with an average rating of 8.06. He got 11 Man of the Match awards, but it was only enough to get Brighton up to 14th. I mean, the amount of chances they create, you'd think having a goal scorer like Harry Kane would take them into the top half, but it just hasn't. Harry Kane, 30 appearances, 12 goals, 5 Man of the Match awards, and the highest average rating we've seen so far of 8.03 in all competitions. I mean, that is an exceptional season. Only played once in the Cup, obviously they got knocked out pretty quickly. 11 goals in 29 appearances, 5 assists, 11 Man of the Match awards. That is absolutely incredible. The best player we have seen so far in terms of average rating. I mean, you'd think if you put a top quality striker into Brighton he'd thrive, and that's exactly what Harry Kane has done. On to West Brom, who, surprisingly, have survived. Normally they're dead to rights in all of these simulations, but with Sam Allardyce having Kevin De Bruyne in his ranks, they have survived, unsurprisingly, the top player. 35 appearances, 12 goals, 11 assists, an average rating of 7.82, 6 Man of the Match awards, and he is probably the only reason that West Brom has survived. I don't really think it's down to the goals of Carlin Grant, although he did get 8. Robert Snodgrass did well as well, but really it's all down to Kevin De Bruyne. I mean, are you surprised? Because I'm certainly not. We'll go on to Sheffield United, who got Dominic Calvert-Lewin, a goal scorer, which has kept them up. But he wasn't their best player. The best player was Oliver Norwood. Then it was Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who got 13 goals. I mean, considering his first spell with Sheffield United, he didn't even manage a single lead goal. This time he's got 11 for the Blades with the number 10 on his back. An excellent season for him. Well, it wasn't excellent, it was solid enough. It's better than Sheffield United have done in reality in survival, coming 16th, and Chris Wilder's still there, which is good for him. No Paul Heckingbottom in sight. We go on to Newcastle, who have only just survived, 2 points clear of the relegation zone they were, and with Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang playing on the left wing, not up front, he only got 10 goals. That's because Callum Wilson was the main goal getter, 18 for him. John Joe Shelby surprisingly was the best player, and Aubameyang, 10 goals in 44 appearances, only 6 in the Premier League. Not a very impressive tally at all. There's a lot of pressure on him at Arsenal right now. Send him to Newcastle, his average rating's alright. But the Geordie Nation would have expected a lot more from Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. But with the number 10 on his back, at least he's kept them up. I mean, they could do with Aubameyang now to keep them up, because at the minute it is not looking likely in reality. We go into the bottom three, the teams who have gone down. Southampton with Nick Pope in between the sticks. Obviously they lost. Who did Southampton lose? It was Danny Ings. So the goals have been taken out of this team. Che Adams has had to step up, which he has in fairness. But Nick Pope played every game by the looks of things. For a goalkeeper, 6.92 is pretty solid. Just shy of a 7, 6 clean sheets. But obviously it's elsewhere where Southampton have struggled, which, to be fair, they have struggled in reality at times this season. They've been very hit and miss considering they were once top of the league. Crystal Palace, you take their talisman out of the team in Wilfried Zaha and they will go down. Crystal Palace coming 19th. Ruben Neves, he's done alright, but, well, I say he's done alright, he's been their best player, but considering he only got a 7.05 overall, that tells you all you need to know. Eberechi Eze unable to step up in the place of Wilfried Zaha. It just shows if Wilfried Zaha left Crystal Palace, they would be absolutely in the mire. But going down, rock bottom, Burnley in 20th place. They may have got Danny Ings back to play alongside Chris Wood, but it hasn't mattered one bit. He was the second best player. He did get 13 goals, but it was not enough to keep them in the Premier League. And interestingly, he's wanted by some huge teams. Everton, Leicester, Tottenham, Barcelona and Real Madrid all want a piece of Danny Ings, who's clearly got no intentions of playing in the Championship. But there we have it. That is what would happen if you took the best player from every club and sent them to the opposite team. Man City without De Bruyne, it hasn't made a difference. But the promoted teams, Leeds, West Brom and Fulham, have all survived, having received some of the best player the Premier League has got to offer. Most players, to be fair, have actually played a lot of football. It's only Pereira, Joachim Andersen, Alan Saint-Maximin. I think they might be the only ones who haven't actually played a lot of football. Elsewhere, most of the best players who've moved clubs have featured heavily and they have been influential. But for Nick Pope, Ruben Neves and Danny Ings, it wasn't enough to keep them in the Premier League. We will leave it there. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know down in the comments below if you've got any more experiments you want me to do. I'm more than happy to listen to suggestions. The comments are open for your suggestions right now. As always, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to Elecspo. I've been James, and until next time, we will see you around.